Did you go to our website? Huh?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's right there on the website.
No, it's just so much information. I don't know where to find it.
It was the Serpent Power. It's like on the first couple of pages, isn't it? There's an e-library.
Okay, I'll go in there.
Did you look at the e-library?
I don't know. I just looked all over, but
The e-library is the e-library.
okay.
It's like three pages.
I can show after class.
Yeah, and you could just go right down, and you'll see his name. You'll see his. I think we gave him a half a page, didn't we?
Yeah.
At one time, yeah.
I saw the videos on YouTube too.
Yeah. So the book is there.
You can't really go wrong with any of those books. They all
Yeah.
good material.
Yeah. Yeah. And you couldn't find a free version online anywhere? Because normally
On the website, so.
if you tap his name in and put PDF behind it, it'll take you to our website.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. And then it comes right up.
Yeah.
It's all there, definitely. Just gotta.
Although if you read it, you probably won't understand what he's talking about. But because he used a lot of Sanskrit. The book looks simple like this. Yeah.
So come to class, I'll understand it.
Yeah, I mean, you could try reading it, but I don't know if he used so much Sanskrit in it that, which I recommend everyone read. But, just get a good, also on our website, we have Sanskrit dictionaries so that you can, whatever you're reading, you can download the dictionary. And we had a dictionary that goes from Sanskrit to English. And then also we have general Hinduism type dictionaries, and we have a theosophical dictionary because they did a huge research on the Eastern religions from the mid 1800s to the early 1900s, and I think that might be, I don't know, 800 to 1,000 pages or whatever of
Just words and
words, and yeah. So
yeah, you really don't even know the meanings until you read them. These feelings you understand. Like,
yeah, you begin to see the meanings of it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
manifest through those.
Yeah. Okay, so there's no other questions, or you had a question?
Yeah, but I forgot it.
Maybe we just shake a little bit, shuffle out a little.
No, if you have any questions, let me know, because I don't want to go on and you don't know.
What was that?
Huh?
Logos.
Logos?
Yeah.
Logos is the being, for us, we call our soul, or that soul that's connected to the spirit, we call it spirit,
Okay.
or Shiva or whatever, right? Well, when you're talking about a planetary being, they call it the Logos, because it's something higher than soul or spirit in a sense, because a planet is a combination of many spirits or souls, right? It's, many spirits. I'm dyslexia, so you have to excuse me. Okay? It's many spirits in the sense that when you have a planetary body over millions or billions of lifetimes, that individual or individuals have brought many, many different sparks of gods or people, and they blend together to become one being. And then they could take on the body of a planet. So this planet is a living, breathing entity, right? But it's a combination of many, many souls that have blended themselves together do one purpose, to act as one, to give life to millions and millions of life forms, trillions of life forms. When you think about the micro beings, cells, bacteria, those are life forms. You know, plant life, yeah, all of that are life forms. So that's why they call it the Logos. Now, another thing about the Logos is that in order for us to, like, if we want to, if we were advanced enough, let's say if we move from adeptship to mastership, and then we go into ascension, and we break the wheel of rebirth of this earth, and we no longer want to be here on this earth because we felt we did everything we can do. So, or we want to go off and do more so we can come back and help, right? So in order to go to any other planet, you have to come through the Logos of that planet.
Yeah, like conquer Earth and then maybe move on to another Logos.
You have to ask for permission, and that Logos have to accept you. So if you go back to all the ancient books, whether it's the Vrittis or the Torah or the Bible or whatever, you know, you'll notice that when they speak about the creation of man, when God created man, he used the elements of what? Of the earth. You know, he pulled, and Genesis gives the aphorisms they give is that he molded Adam out of the soil, and then he took the breath or the air and breathed it into his body, all elements of the earth. Okay, so it's indicating that they had to go through the earth. They had to get permission from the earth in order to born that individual on earth. So the right way is that being go through the Logos of the earth and come out into the incarnation cycle or reincarnation cycle of that planet through the Logos. And when you do that, the Logos, we're told also, is that the Kundalini, that is the life force of our body, that is the vehicle of consciousness for our body, actually comes from the Logos of that particular planet. Okay? So.
Yeah, so much
Yeah.
so much uncharted territory to enter
Before you begin to understand it. But it's all in the ancient books. The most ancient book is the Vrittis. It's all there. And as you can find it in the Upanishads of all the different Upanishads of the Vrittis. Okay, so.
I mean, it does give you a good understanding of what immortality could really mean.
Yeah. So, any other questions? Did I answer it for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the sun?
The sun?
I don't know. I somehow wrote that the sun is the Logos of the earth, but I don't know.
No. Sun, not Logos of the
I
earth.
know. It didn't sound right. That's why.
No, the sun is really, in simple terms, is much more than this. But in simple terms, the sun is the god of the solar system. Okay? Because all life comes from where? The sun. All life is maintained by what? The sun. If the sun disappeared, what happened to the whole solar system?
It's the battery, the major battery.
When the sun goes into the supernova, what happens to the sun? Even scientists realize this. I mean, what happens to the bodies of planets around it? They are absorbed back into the sun. They came from the sun. You know, and if they didn't come from this sun, they came from some sun, and then on top of that, they was modified by this sun.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if they came from outside of the solar system or within the solar system. After billions of years of being radiated by the sun, and in the ancient books, they call it, you heard of this, right? Tava. And the Tavic rays, these are solar rays, right? They're universal waves, but how does these waves get to us? It goes through what? The sun, on some subtle level that we can't even fathom, right? And then the sun push it out to all the life, right? That's within its orbit and outside of its orbit as well. See? So the Tantric, right now, this earth, it is said that there's, and you go back to the ancient books, it said that the earth, right, is bombarded by what? How many people? 360 Tantric rays. Now, of course, when you look at the earth have 360 what? Degrees. So these 360 rays hit every degree of the earth. And then that's what forms the life that we have. The realms of existence that we have is created by the Tantric rays. Now, if we, in your write-up, in these forms, I don't know if I gave it in here or the other ones. Anyone have that around you about the Tantric rays? Either last week or week before last. Do you have it with you? Oh, it's in this book. Here they give, in this book, he gives the Tantric rays, and he tells you exactly, I know it's somewhere in here. I think it's in the mantra section. You have it? Does it give you the scale? Yeah. I forget. I should remember what page it's on. I don't remember. Anyway, it gives the scale. You have your book? Can you see what page it's on? And you have the Christ center, which is the third eye. You have the throat center, the heart, and the solar, and the sex center, and the base. You know what I'm talking about? The table?
Oh, the top one?
Yeah, of the petals and all of that. It was in chapter 2 or 3. Or maybe it's in the chapter on the chakras. What chapter is that?
5.
Yeah, it's on that chapter. Page 141. 141, 142. Is that the page? Or 145? So on the base, there's 56 Tantric rays. Then you got 62. The solar plexus is 52. The heart is 54. And the throat center is 72. And the Christ is 64. So it's on page 1:45. So now, these Tantric rays are radiated from the sun, and when you add them all up, it's 360, and they go into each chakra, okay? That's why the chakra is a vortex center. You ever heard of that? It's a vortex center. And on these Tantric rays, you have this tremendous power that travel on the Tantric rays. And I think I put it in one of these. Here on this slide 4 here, right? It lists all the different subtle energies that's within those Tantric rays, right? And this is how our realms of existence are brought about, okay? And the fact that each one of these is a center of what? Anyone? You don't know? Each one of these is a center of what? Consciousness. Because what does consciousness do? Or what does mind do?
It creates a field, it radiates a field outwards.
No, mind molds and shape energy. Mind is the thing that creates the what? The objects and subjects, right? You wouldn't have objects and subjects without mind. So this tremendous energy comes from the sun, and it comes from the sun from where? From the galaxy, but where does the galaxy get it from?
The absolute.
The absolute. God, right? So the sun is like a lesser God in a sense. I don't want to say lesser because it's not lesser to us, but when you look at the greater universe. So the sun collects this energy probably from the central sun of the galaxy. And the central sun received this energy probably from the laws of creation. And the laws of creation received that energy from God itself, from the absolute. So it filters down until it gets to the point of the mighty sun, and the mighty sun manifests it.
All from the blackness.
So this is what we're told from the ancient teachings. These teachings are thousands of years old. It's not, and yet science have came full circle to begin to understand this. Because when you read science today, you can relate this back to science, So that's what now, and of course, going back to our understanding of this for our own personal development, right? Why is this information good? Makes sense. We call this, the moon modifies these Tantric rays that comes through the third eye and the throat center, okay? The sun, these are rays that's not that much modified. It comes directly from the sun. The only modification is the atmosphere of the earth, okay? And these rays are modified by the earth. It has a direct modification by the earth, okay? So now, of course, when we talked about last week, when the soul begins to build this vehicle of consciousness, or these vehicles of consciousness, so that we can go through many, many lifetimes, right? We talked about the soul bringing this Shakti power, which this is a compaction of Shakti power, okay? You have to understand that this is a compaction. These rays is a compaction of Shakti power. The soul pull on this Shakti power and brings it down through Shushumna, which for the location of your body is within the spine, right? And the soul modifies this Shakti power and form it into the 3.5 knot, which is what? It's Kundalini, okay? And now this Kundalini is a vehicle of consciousness, right? That the soul used in order to build the Nadi system and build all the bodies, right? So at this point, these two chakras actually becomes the point of self-consciousness and the point of subconscious and conscious mind, right? They say self-consciousness started at the base of the spine, the Muladhara chakra, right? And at the sex chakra, this consciousness finds residence, okay? We heard of that, right? It resides there at the sex center. So what do we find about this? That these two is the central location for subconscious activity, all right? Everybody know that, right? Now, if you examine the energy of these two, we told that apana, right? Energy does what? It goes up and then it comes down, right? And the sex center energy, which is Jnana, right? It does what? Huh? It circulates the entire body. Okay? It moves consciousness throughout the entire body. All right? So, and these energies travel through what in the body? The nadis. They travel, if you can imagine the nadis, they travel through the nadis and they travel on the outside of the nadis. Okay? If you can imagine the nadis. And the nadis create 242,000 pathways throughout the body. So this Jnana power moves consciousness throughout the entire body, giving us the control over our whole body. Now, this energy that's traveling through the body that's coming from the base of the spine is Kundalini. It's Kundalini. Now, you'll notice that also that the thing that locks us in the body, right, is the, oh wait, is that right? Is the heart, right? The heart center is the prana, right? Now, the prana, or all of these are values in a sense. But what it does, it goes down and comes back up. And this down and up and this up and down is the thing that locks us in the body. All right? It's the action that actually locks us in the body. Then you have this, because this is conscious and subconscious, central location, and the moon does what? What does the moon Tavic rays do? It creates what? What?
The mental realm.
Yeah, it helps to create the mental realms.
Could you also say that it regulates the mental realm?
Yes, we can see that, right? What cycle is this earth on? In the daily, it's on a lunar cycle. We are actually lunar creatures because we do what? We live our life on a 28, 30-day cycle, right? And the vortex center that we enter this world, this physical world, is closely connected to what?
The pattern of the moons.
The pattern of the moons. And who is that vortex? Huh?
Our same consciousness.
No. Your mother. Females. Females are we come to this physical realm through what? Through females. That's why they say females are closer to what?
The embodiment of the moon.
They're closer to what? They're closer to God. This is a female earth. And one day the females will rule this earth. It's a female earth. So when the balance come, the balance will come with the females actually ruling this earth. Because that seemed weird to you? Think about it. They're much more balanced than us. Yeah.
In Hinduism or in Tantra, we don't say mother is closer to God. We say mother is God.
It's God. Yeah. Yeah. You can say it like that if you want to, because what is this power that we're trying to balance? Huh? It's Shakti, right? And what is Shakti? Shakti is what? It's a female energy. Okay? So when we take control over this, and the only reason why we're here in this this reincarnated cycle, the samsara cycle, is because we don't have control over Kundalini. Oh, wait. We don't have control over this power. Once we gain control over that power, then we can...
Bring up all the fragments, we put them together.
No, we can exit this reincarnation cycle.
Yeah.
We can ascend. Okay? So that's the only reason why we're here, is to control this female energy within the body. And that's ancient knowledge. So I mean, it's...
That's the real map quest for
So the reason why I tell you this is because the combination of these two is the operating, at least for us, it's the triggers that help to allow us to operate or function on this physical and mental plane, this physical plane, okay? And because this is the central location for the mental world, the conscious mind and subconscious mind, there's a superconscious state of mind that's located here in these vortex centers, and they control this. In other words, they lay out the law. They impose the karmic law on that. And that's why you always have conscious, subconscious, and then in the background running the superconscious mind. The superconscious mind is like the motherboard. It controls everything, okay? So...
Is it a composite of the conscious and the subconscious, or is it something?
No, it actually, the conscious and the subconscious came from the superconscious, okay? It was the superconscious first, remember? And then it created the subconscious and then the conscious, okay? So, and then also when you look at the cycles, right? You had this superconscious being, this soul, which followed the directives of the spirit to involve itself, right? So it placed karmic limitations on itself and manifested itself into dense matter, right? And it went through wherever that particular soul or needed to go to start from, it started from there. whether if it was an amoeba or a dolphin or a dog or a cow, it started from that point and moved up into the human kingdom. Okay? So, and once it gets to the human kingdom, it can't go back. It can go down to the lowest part of the human kingdom, but it can't go back into the animal kingdom. A forward direction must continue. Okay? So don't believe that you're going to be born as an animal in your next life.
Yeah, like you get as far as you can, and then at least you get a boost this next time.
You know. Now, what could happen, and we've been told this by great bodhisattvas or cosmic masters, is that, let's say if a person, an evil person, let's say an evil person maybe like Hitler in our history, when that person dies, and before that person is reincarnated again, because of the atrocities that they placed on earth, karma actually splits their consciousness up into many parts. So so that person will be reborn into many, many different consciousness or bodies and they will not come back together until they have learned their lesson. Because karma will not allow them to kill that many people on this physical plane in one life like that.
Yeah,
So
the only good thing on the horizon would be heroes come out of this, but I can see that,
But people like Genghis Khan, people like Mussolini, Stalin, even some of our generals here in this country, you know, they died, consciousness split up, and then they have to be reincarnated at a lower scale of consciousness for many, many lifetimes before they're allowed to bring their consciousness back together. So we know that does happen. But, so this is the Tantric rays. The Tantric rays is broke up like this, and then they fall into groups. These groups are called the grantee knots, okay? They're called the grantee knots. Now, they're called conversion points, right? They're actually called Maha grantee knots, right? The grantee knots. They're called they're called grantee knots in the sense that in order to move the consciousness, in order to have control over the Kundalini, when you're able to concentrate the Kundalini from the base of the spine to the sex center, and you bring about basic clairvoyance or psychic abilities, right? You have to gain control. You have to bring about yama and niyama over these senses to the point where you not only untie this knot, because each one of these are a knotty knot. Okay, you understand? You have, we talked about that last week, didn't we? Huh?
Yeah.
You have let's say you have the psychic center, and let's say within the first psychic center, you have 4 petals, right? And the petals are what? Everybody remember what the petals are? Seed mantras, right? Which are what? BJs, right? So, these seed mantras, the Nadis comes in the base of the spine, it actually comes from this. Right? And in the sex center, they thread themselves through the Nadis. Through the petals. All right? Now, So you have hundreds of these nadis, right? And they branch off, right? But it's estimated that the count after they have branched off so many times is 42,000. It's 242,000. Some people put the number at 72,000. Okay? But I believe it's more 242,000. Now, when they go through there, you have the idol nati, which is a mental flow of energy, right? And you have the pingata nati, which is a vital type energy. And when these cross, consciousness is formed. So that's how you have your consciousness. So that's why they are called centers of consciousness. Okay? So in order to move the Kundalini up to the solar plexus center, you not only have to untie and regulate the petals within each of the psychic centers, you have to untie and regulate the granting knot center as well, or and then you can move to the solar plexus center. Okay, so and then you have adeptship. Then you can be considered an adept. So to everybody understand that I didn't confuse them. Okay.
So does celibacy untie the knot?
Celibacy is the first thing that you have to do. And I told you all that last week, right?
Yeah.
Control of sex. That's the first rule, yama, in the limbs of yoga. The first rule is to bring about control over the sex urges, or the sex center. You will not, I can almost say that categorically, you will not be able to control this energy called Kundalini if you are engaging in sex on a regular basis. You will not. People talk a bunch of mess and say they can do this and do that, and if they are trying to do the two, I can also guarantee they will go crazy. Okay?
You can see
So.
believe it or not, it still drains some juice out of you and making a difference.
Well, I tell you, the sex center, the sex energy. In fact, I have a lecture on that where we spent two classes on that. Mm-hmm. The sex energy is ojas. Okay, ojas is the essence of the energy in the body. Okay, you all heard of the who in here studied what is called Ayurveda? You studied it, so you know that it feeds the 7 tissues, right? The 7 tissues of the body, right? This is the source, the life force within the body. In fact, it's the vital life force of the body. So it's almost potentized physical Kundalini within the body. So it's the nectar of this. So you need to control it in order to wake this up. And you need to, that's why one of the first exercises they teach us in yoga, in Hatha Yoga, is do what? Stand on the head. Why we stand on the head? You want to drain that ojas back into the brain. Okay? That's what you're doing. You want to drain the ojas back into the head.
When you're feeling wadding out a little bit, you gotta get upside down.
So it's a control point, because what happens when you practice yama and niyama, right? You bring control over your thoughts and actions. One of the main things that always go out of control is what?
Your sex.
Is your sexual thoughts.
You literally will
So-
just drop everything else.
Yeah, so you have to gain control over that. And as you gain control over that, then you'll notice that you have this tremendous power, given to you. And then you'll be given certain visualization and breathing exercises in order to kill the urge when it do come, or redirect the energy. That's what you want to do. You want to redirect the energy. And then when you begin to do this, you begin to take control over the energy within the nadis, right? And a larger amount of this energy begins to travel through the nadis and knock out a lot of blockages, and it begins to charge the brain to allow you to even go further and further and further. Every exercise, every limb of yoga takes you to the next stage of that, okay? So yes, it does have something to do with the sex. Okay, any other questions? So everybody kind of understand that? All right.
Crystal clear.
A question of mine. Can you discuss the relationship between Vrittis and Samskaras?
For Vrittis and Samskaras? Okay. Well, you know what Vrittis is. Didn't we go over that last week? Vrittis is the modification of mind. Okay? It's the modification of mind. If you imagine that your aura, and your aura is like the atmosphere of the earth. If we move outside of the atmosphere of the earth, what happens? We die. We can't breathe, right? Because we belong to the earth. So if you can imagine that that's you within the aura, okay? And the Vrittis, this valence level of the auric body is out here, and the Vrittis is this modification here. And we talked about this last week. Who remembered it? Okay, why is this modification happening?
Cascading of outside.
It resonates based on your chakras, how they, at the level as they
Your senses are turned outward.
That's right. So your senses, right, are what? They're turned outwards, right? That's what we said, right? Because why?
you blocked out the outer senses.
No. Your senses are turned outwards because you haven't did what? You haven't withdrawn your senses back into you. Pratyahara. Remember we talked about pratyahara? Where we withdraw the senses back into the body, right? So what's happening, the car outside, the plane flying over us, the shrieking of the brakes, the chatter of people talking, all of that is affecting you. Because why? You govern yourself by your sight, your smell, your hearing, your taste, your touch. And most people think that that's all they are. They think that they think that their senses, their sensory perception is the thing that makes them and who they are, when really it's the thing behind that. It's the soul, right? So we're constantly connecting ourselves to all this noise and nonsense, right? So Because of that, we lead our consciousness out here and we attract all the wrong things to us. Okay? But when we center ourselves, then we begin to have a greater perspectives of ourselves. Because why? Because mind is where? Huh? It's everywhere. Right? Because mind is a what? It's an energy. Right? It's an energy. So, but we tend to live in a 2, 3, 4 feet radius of ourselves, right? And we forget about everything else. So, but when you turn yourself, when you center yourself within you, then you not only understand what's going on with you, but you understand it everywhere.
Yeah, you tune into the sounds that now.
Because you become one with the all. Because the soul is connected to the all. See? And when you begin to communicate with the soul, then you can communicate to everyone else. It's like barriers. When we break certain barriers. At one time, they said that man can only travel 35 miles per hour. Right? That's the fastest man can travel back in the 1800s or whatever, with a vehicle. Right? Of course, the locomotive taught them that man can travel faster than 35 miles per hour. Right? When they created the train and the train went going far, past, further than 35 miles per hour. So it changed their mind. What the yogis used to say way back before, in fact, it was in one famous Raja Yoga book. It's called Raja Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. He was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He came to this country for a short while in order to bring his master's teachings, Ramakrishna, to the West. He stated that mind was wireless. That of course one day because of telepathy we would create wireless type equipment, right? Which we know today is possible. Back then it was nut, talking this mess. You need to put a wire up on a pole and let it travel hundreds and hundreds of miles in order to communicate. But now it's a norm. So because why? Because it was only a blockage in their mind because of this. We create these blockages so that we can't communicate to the world. At one point, I was listening to this one minister this morning, and he brought a point up, Joel Osteen. Anybody ever heard of him? Yes. Yeah. I was listening to his program this morning, and he talked about an athlete of tracker that broke the 4-minute barrier in running a mile, because at one time the doctors, they came up with this study and said that the body cannot travel a 1 mile in 5 minutes. That's the limit. So of course, he turned this one athlete heard this and he broke the record. He did it in less than 4 minutes. So within the next year, you had 10 other people break it, and within the next 10 years, you had 300 some people break it. So because why? That was a block in the mind belt of the world at that time. So and you notice inventions happen like that too, right? Someone comes up with an invention, and also someone else on the other side of the world that don't know nothing about that person come up with the same invention. It's in the mind belt. Mind is everywhere. And when we center ourselves, we can connect to that everywhere. Okay? So that's what that's about. So Vrittis is this modification that we create because of our lower understanding from the Lord. Really, it's coming from the lower chatters of the Lord, the three lower chakras, right? Because there you have that conscious and subconscious activity. Up here, you don't have that so much from the heart chakra up, okay? And what was the other one, samskara?
Yeah, the correlation.
Samskaras is, you create samskaras from your thoughts and actions. It becomes a mental imprint within the aura. And it becomes almost like seeds that deposit itself in the aura from many incidents or events in your life, whether in this life or previous lives, okay? The seeds are there. The samskara seeds are there. The original samskaras that we're told is what? Huh? They're left by the soul, right? Which are what? The petals. Or what we was talking about earlier, the BJs. Okay? So the soul, as the soul pushed the Shaktic power down through the Shushuna, it spoke this parasound, the soundless sound, into being, creating this BJ or seed mantra, this fluctuation of energy within the chakras. Okay? Because remember, the chakras don't belong to us. The chakras are realms of existence. Right? And when you study chakras, you'll see that. A lot of people always miss that. You'll see this word right here. Is that right? Or locus. That's realms of existence, right? Each chakra is a realm of, in fact, it's many realms of existence. It's many realms of existence. In fact, the ancient books talk about when you add 56 and 62, you have what? 118, right? The great masters told the students that you have to conquer 118 worlds in order to become an adept. So the 118 Tantric rays, which creates a realm of itself, a realm of existence, a whole mental realm and physical realm of existence, is created by these 118 Tantric rays. You have to control that. You have to conquer that before you can move on. So that's that's the power of these vortex centers. So the soul spoke that into being as it created the vehicle of consciousness and the pathway for you to make it back to the Shiva, the absolute. Okay? So those are the original samskaras. Now, every time we speak, every time we think, every time we move, we create samskaras of some kind on the aura. Okay? And this become almost megabytes of energy that we can tap into in the future. Because the experience you gain becomes energy for the future, right?
Yeah, like it solidifies into your aura.
Yeah, it can be negative energy or positive energy, or it can be a combination of both, or it can be almost neither. So you have to think about that. One of the easiest ways to bring up old samskaras, and I told you this many times, is by turning on some music that affected you many years ago. And you'll find yourself transported back to that time. Because why? Because that music is connected to that memory, to that samskara. And it'll have you crying, laughing, or whatever within seconds or minutes. So it proves that, in my mind at least, that the samskaras exist. Now you can also pull on these samskaras if you had, later down when you gain control over your mind and you can concentrate or contemplate, you can have intense concentration and contemplation, you can pull on those positive samskaras that you placed within yourself, within your subconscious mind and auric body or mental bodies. You can pull on that in order to do a particular job. If you was an expert at something in your past life, then you can reach down and pull on that knowledge and experience and become an expert of that in this life, whether you was formally trained or not, okay? So that's one of the things about samskaras as well, okay?
Yeah, you can utilize what you got and start to like tweak it. You start to tweak
Yes.
it. Where you want to take it to, kill the bad habits.
So that's it though. So we answered, what time is this? Oh, we're out of time, huh?
Yeah, that was great.
So is there any other questions? Because we can't even get into the lesson today. I was going to go over concentration, but we could do it next week. I'll give you some concentration techniques next week. All right? Is there any other questions? If there's no other questions, then we can close out with a prayer. And we use a prayer mudra in order to close out, where you stand erect, have your feet slightly apart, huh? It doesn't matter, yeah, if you want to. You stand erect with your feet slightly apart. You face the east, where the sun rises. And you place the hands down in a mudra, this mudra right here. This helps locks the energy into the body. And then you breathe in and out in a rhythmic way, you know, not hard, but just enough to build the energy up in the body. And you imagine that you're this magnet for this vital spiritual energy to come down through you. And when you get ready to pray, you raise the arms up like this, and this helps to activate the heart chakra, because you want to pull the energy down through the top of the head and push it out of the palms of your hands. There's a major psychic center in the palms of the hands, and there's minor psychic centers in the tips of the hands. So you want to use those vortex centers to push that energy out. And you imagine that this energy is coming down through you, and you're pushing this energy out of the palms of the hands and the heart chakra. Okay? So if you see yourself, you'll see this tremendous energy coming down through the top of the head, pushing the energy out of the heart chakra and the palms and the tips of the fingers. And then when you finish, you say silently to yourself, you whisper so that no one can hear you, and you say, "So it is done." Now, the great yogic secret about affecting the different realms is that if you want to affect the physical realm, you speak aloud. If you want to affect the mental world, you whisper. If you want to affect the psychic world, the psycho-spiritual world, you curl the tongue up in the back of the mouth, press it hard against the roof, and you lock the energy in the body, and then you have a pure thought, because you cannot have a pure thought with the tongue loose. So you have to curl the tongue up in order to have a pure thought. And that's one of the great secrets. Then you dust the hands like this to cut the energy off. Because if you don't, you'll drain yourself of energy. By the end of the day, you'll feel exhausted. So you make sure you always dust the hands, all right, and say, so it is done. Okay, let's go ahead and say the prayer.
The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and
Wondrous Spirit, everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day as it granted me a divine privilege, I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. In praise of the greatness of God, doth my soul sing, granted energy to sing on forever and